Welcome to this ICI instructional video. In this recipe, we are going to show you how to do submerged poaching or poulet au pot. We have in here our chicken in our ice bath, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna show you how to truss it. You have learned how to truss it with butcher's twine, but in here we're gonna show you how to truss it nicely and simple with using the skin. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here, we're gonna create a hole on each side, and we're gonna cross our chicken legs on each side. Why do we wanna truss the chicken if we're gonna submerge, deep poach? Well, this is gonna help a better, more uniform cooking of the legs and thighs, while preventing the breast to be overcooked. Right? We have a nice trussed chicken. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it upside down and I'm gonna cover with my chicken stock. Wanna make sure that it's fully covered. So if it's not completely submerged, we wanna use a plate to make sure that it's weighed down. We're gonna put it in a quick boil, and then we're just gonna simmer it. Now that we have our chicken stock in a nice simmer, our chicken is gonna be poaching for around 45 minutes, all right, or until we get 165. I'm gonna put a bouquet garni, all right, which is another form of aromatic to get those flavors going and enhancing those flavors. The next thing that we're gonna do is show you how to do a tournée, because the poulet au pot has tournée vegetables. Now, what is tournée? Well, tournée, as the word means, tournée means to move or to cut in a way that is gonna give a shape of a football size, and it's gonna have 7 sides. So what I'm gonna do out of a potato, I'm gonna cut my potato into 4s. And then I'm gonna start making my tournées. Now, we have in here our tournée knife. As you can see, it's a little concave. And I'm gonna put my knife in my hand just like that. And I'm gonna grab my potato just like this, have my knife right in like this. So I'm gonna grab, and then I'm gonna cut up and down in a simple motion, up and down. I'm gonna put this in the water to prevent oxidization, and I'm gonna continue until I get my 7 sides. So starting going up, I get to the center and I start going down, okay? So that's one side, that's another, that's number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and number 7, which will be my flat side. So now I have 7 sizes. As you can see in here, there's a lot of waste. It's not waste. We'll use this for other preparation like hash browns, like mashed potatoes. So we'll put it in the water in here to prevent oxidization. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go around again, and I'm just gonna make sure that all my sides are even width. Now, something that is very important to say, tournée, 7 size, and it's 2.5 inches in length. So now that we have our tournées in here, and once again, it's a nice stroke. You don't want to saw, a nice uniform stroke, all right? And now that I have my 7 size, look how pretty that looks. All right, something that I'm gonna do is I am going to cut this tip a little bit so it'll be even with these two. As you can see, we have even size in here. Something that we now wanna do is we wanna blanch our tournaise. Blanching means part cooking it, right? So we have blanched these other vegetables. We have turnips, we have carrots, we have zucchini and squash, and we have in here already some potatoes that we pre-did it. I'm gonna take in here and I'm gonna blanch it. Potatoes are gonna blanch in about 10 minutes, all right? And it's very important that once we fully cook it, we chuck them, all right, to prevent the cooking process, and then we're gonna finish our broth. So now our tournée potato has been blanched, all right? So what we're gonna do is chuck it in ice water, and we're gonna take it out of the ice water. We don't wanna have it in ice water for a long time, as we don't wanna dilute flavors, all right? We just wanna stop the cooking process. The next thing that we're gonna do in this recipe is we are going to remove our chicken that has been cooked, all right? Has been cooking. We're gonna strain our liquid, we're gonna reduce it, and we're gonna cut our chicken to finalize this recipe, right? So we are gonna take our chicken out, being carefully not to burn ourselves. We're gonna put it in here momentarily. And we're gonna take our stock. I wanna strain it to remove as many particles from the cooking process. We don't need to cool it because we're gonna continue it. What we're gonna do after this is we're gonna reduce it. So now that we have strained our stock, we're gonna return our stock and we're gonna reduce it to concentrate those flavors, all right? And create a very flavorful broth. So what is the difference between a broth and a stock? Well, the stock has no seasoning. The broth has been seasoned, right? So it is, in a nutshell, a broth is considered a style of soup. So right now what we have in here, we have our chicken, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the skin, okay, from the chicken. We're gonna remove the legs, and we're gonna debone it and cut it in dice. Now, traditionally, these will be pulled and put it in the broth. But for presentation side, it's better if we cut it into dice. Now, as you see, I don't have glove. This is because this is still gonna go back into the broth. Okay? So I'm gonna come in here, remove the breast, and then I'm gonna come in here, remove the thigh meat, all right, and then we'll cut now our chicken into dice, and we're gonna return it into our reduction. The next step is to add all our tournée vegetables. We have the turnips. We're gonna add the carrots. We're gonna add the potatoes. And we're gonna add our zucchini and squash. Lastly, we are going to season it with salt and pepper. We're gonna cook it for another 5 minutes to make sure that everything is nice and warm, and we'll be ready to plate. So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start plating our tournaise, our poulet au pot. We're gonna put one of each vegetable. We're gonna put it like we call in the center. So we put a turnip, we put a carrot, we're gonna put a squash, a zucchini, then a squash, and then we're gonna repeat all over again. Okay? It's just a matter of fishing them. Okay? And a good looking carrot. We're gonna place the broth. And you're asking, what is that cylinder that you have in there? Don't worry, I'm gonna put the chicken in there. We're gonna put 8 ounces of the broth, and we're gonna put our chicken right in the center. But I use it as a measuring, so I knew where to put all my chicken. All right? Lastly, we're gonna garnish with a little bit of parsley, or if you want, you can garnish with some chives. And as you can see, a very delicious and elegant recipe. We're gonna clean the sides, and that's our poulet au pot.